Hello there. Absolute pleasure to be here and fantastic presentation. Thank you so much, and to you as well, Yvonne. Really, really interesting so far. My name's Hilary Woodhead. I am the Executive Director of NAPA. And NAPA is the National Activity Providers Association. We are a national charity and a membership organisation. So we work across the sector to support care services to prioritise wellbeing. This is where I have to take my glasses off to to take us to the next slide. One of the things that we're really focused on when we talk about prioritised wellbeing is promoting the importance of activity. And when we talk about activity, we talk about opportunity really for meaningful connection and engagement. So that may well include physical activity. But I think as has already been mentioned, it's really important to recognise that all activities can have an impact on our well-being and potentially on our physical well-being as well, if we give thought to that. So just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what our focus is here at NAPA, everything we do really is about supporting the professional development of people providing care and support services. So the teams, the staff out there making this a reality in the workplace and across care services. And we're there really to provide essential knowledge, skills and resources to enable that to happen. And we do that in a variety of ways. So one of the services we provide is around professional development, training qualifications, webinars, e-learning courses, bespoke training courses for care services all around how they prioritise wellbeing through activity, arts and engagement. We have a national helpline service as well. So anybody engaged in an activity type role or family carers too can get in touch with us and talk to us about how they engage the person that they support. We offer a range of different support services within the helpline programme. So people can ring us, they can email us, they can join our online platforms. We have a range of support groups online, and also we have a monthly reflective practice session. And all of these services are completely free of charge, and that's open to anybody supporting somebody with a care and support need of any age. And we also have some national projects and programmes as well. This just gives you a bit of an overview of some of the programmes and projects we're currently involved in. Our Arts in Care Homes project is probably our largest project. That's a 5-year project which is supported by the RAIN Foundation and the Bearing Foundation to really raise the profile of the importance of arts in care homes and to think differently about what we mean by the arts as well, and that actually creativity and being artistic doesn't necessarily mean painting. It could mean, you know, taking time to look after ourselves and our physical well-being in order to be able to connect with the arts. We have a membership network of about 3,000 care homes, and we also have a subscriber network of about 7,000 individual services and individual practitioners. And we constantly ask for their feedback. We consult with them to make sure that our services are appropriate and relevant to them. And one of the things that we found last year was that many organisations were really struggling with how to get people moving again following the pandemic. Also to how to engage staff in moving again and feeling confident about how they initiated activity, physical activity with the people that they supported. We have a year of every year at NAPA, and it felt very apt that this year, 2021, should be the year of moving and grooving, to get everybody moving, but also thinking differently and creatively about physical activity. So the Nappy Year of Moving and Grooving was launched in January 2021. Obviously, we're now coming to the end of that, and we've had a range of different initiatives under this campaign heading throughout the year. So I will tell you a little bit about what those are. So the campaign, national campaign, really was about supporting the care sector to prioritise physical activity, to help them think a little bit differently about what physical activity is, and also, I think, to dispel some myths about who can provide physical activity. We launched a resource at the beginning of the year very much about starting the conversation really with some guidance notes, but also some practical ideas about how to get moving and grooving. And Motortech, our friends at Motortech kindly sponsored that resource, which meant that we could make it available for free to all care services across the UK. And it really was our starting point for the year, really. It gave people an opportunity to keep thinking and doing as much physical activity within those care services as possible. And also how we might keep in touch, even digitally, with family members and friends in a way that might also incorporate some physical activity, even if it's over Zoom or FaceTime. There's some interesting bits and bobs in there, and I think my colleague Beth has just popped that in the chat. Brilliant, Beth, thank you. So you can download that as well. So at NAPA, we have used this definition for physical activity, again, in consultation, particularly with activity providers working in care homes, just to think, to really think, what do we mean by physical activity? So we've defined it as activities that increase heart rate and cause you to breathe more deeply. This can include walking, cycling, gardening, music, dancing, as well as other sport and exercise-based activities. So it's quite a broad definition. And one of the things that we wanted to do, I'm not going to go through this great big long list because it's in the resource that we've just popped in the chat. But one of the things we wanted to do really was to kind of come up with a bit of a starting point list. Because what we found, particularly talking to activity providers on our helpline and through our support groups, was that they were quite concerned about doing something that may potentially cause harm or injury. And they wanted to make sure that the appropriate risk assessments were in place, but also that they had the appropriate skills and expertise to be clear about what physical activity was expected within their service. So this just goes through some of the things that you might want to consider when you're getting started in terms of a model of physical activity within a care home. Statements on risk, again, very, very important. We really were very clear that actually not all physical activity has to be strenuous exercise, and that if there are any concerns around somebody's ability to take part in physical activity, it's very, very important that we liaise with, consult with physical activity professionals, physiotherapists, instructors, etc. And that was, I think that's really, really key to this, is that don't do anything you're not sure of, but also think differently and creatively about getting people moving and grooving. Also, we just wanted to reinforce the importance of recording the physical activity for all sorts of reasons, really. It's a statutory requirement that it's recorded, absolutely, but also I think it continues to help us provide a picture of what people's interests are, what their abilities are, what they enjoy doing in terms of how they spend their time. The connections that might be made during the physical activity, which then of course goes on to better inform care practice overall. So really, really important that we reinforce why physical activity should be recorded, and recorded in a helpful way. So thinking, in individual services, how do we record physical activity now? Does it really record the impact, not just the physical impact, but in general well-being terms, the impact on the individual, but also kind of what the practitioner learnt, what the activity provider or care provider learnt during this activity, this physical activity with the person that they support. And I think also just kind of building on that, what do we need to do next as a result? So lovely to hear about all the different local services that are available to people. And I love the idea about, asking your GP, but also just checking that postcode. We know at local level, there are so many community connections available, community organisations for care services to tap into. And that is building, that's developing. We've seen a big change in the way in which care homes connect with local services. But what else? Is there more? And again, thinking about the wellbeing services rather than the leisure services. I love that. The wellbeing services, how do we make sure that when we're prioritising wellbeing, we're connecting with those services at local level that may well be able to provide the staff with support, but of course enable the healthy ageing of the people we support too. Just a couple of things we did. So very, very early on in the year, we wanted to start with something that that everybody loves doing, everybody that it doesn't cost anything, and that's walking. So we had a Wellbeing Walk back in May, and this was a national walk, and again, just to get everybody involved, moving and grooving. There was no expectation that anybody had to pay to be involved. It was completely free. But what did happen is that actually people wanted to support the NAPA Helpline, that free service, activity support service. It also generated some interest, but enabled us to do more, provide more support as a result, and extend our helpline, which has been amazing. And we're going to have a winter wellbeing walk on the 4th of December. So if you would like to get involved, if you would like to either individually or within the care service that you work in, get everybody involved, get everybody moving and grooving and walking this winter. And I think also breaking down some of those assumptions about having to be inside when it's cold. Let's wrap up well, let's take some nice hot drinks with us, but let's get out and keep walking in the winter, not just in the summer months. And Burns Gym, who are a physical activity provider, they've been very involved with the Wellbeing Walks, and very excited to be supporting the next Wellbeing Walk as well. Do check out Burns Gym. They do some fantastic work across care services, but particularly in care homes for older people. So, a shout out to them for supporting us with the Wellbeing Walk. We dedicated the month of May to Move It May. And what this meant was that all of our digital resources were focused around movement. We worked with a range of different providers, and they're all listed here, to help us think differently and creatively about physical activity. We hosted a range of webinars throughout May, created some video content and some resources, and they were all delivered by our NAPA News network. And we were amazed by how many people wanted to learn more and look at how they might do things differently with regards to physical activity. So that was back in May. And if you don't know these individual organisations, do check them out, because they're all doing some really fantastic work around physical activity. The year of Moving and Grooving meant that our conference would be a moving and grooving focused conference. So we have an annual conference. And we were absolutely delighted to work with Motortech on this, but also to work with a number of partner organisations to make activity provision accessible, but also to enable that, continue that conversation about thinking differently. How do we integrate physical activity into everything that we do in a way that's fun and engaging and stimulating, but also has that impact on our general well-being? So we had a fantastic day in June, all focused around physical activity, and we welcomed over 100 activity providers from across the sector. And these are just some of the organisations that we worked in partnership to deliver on that day, some really interactive presentations. And then we wanted to think about those who receive services. The majority of NAPA members, not all, but the majority of NAPA members are care home services, and the majority are care home services for older people and people living with dementia. So we spoke to our advisory group, which is a group of activity professionals, and we asked them, what kind of moving and grooving would your residents like? And they talked to them and came back to us and told us it was absolutely, the traditional tea dance with a twist. So that's what we put on. We put on a national tea dance with a twist under the theme of moving and grooving, and hundreds of care homes from across the UK took part in the national tea dance. And that was on our National Day of Conversation and Connection on the 3rd of August. So, this sort of everybody dancing, staff, residents, and we had digital link-ups to family carers as well, people dancing in their own homes at the same time as those dancing in care homes. An absolutely fantastic event. And we also, this year, we have at NAPA, we have an annual awards ceremony, which was last week. And this year we introduced the Moving and Grooving Award, and we were inundated with applications. Care services really keen to demonstrate how important physical activity is in their individual settings, and how they had focused on creative moving and physical activity as well underneath this theme of getting people moving, getting people grooving. And we were delighted to award the Majesticare care homes, Blenheim House care home from the Majesticare group with the award last Friday at our award ceremony. Just really innovative opportunities to keep moving and grooving, but also everyday opportunities too. They're really embedded into their care practice, into the everyday work of the residential care staff, but also the everyday experience of their residents moving and grooving, physical activity throughout their day. And so, we were delighted to be able to celebrate with them the winning of the award. And up next, on the 8th to the 12th of November, my colleagues at NAPA are leading a festival, a winter festival, all online with various interactive webinars and opportunities to think creatively about activity in care services. And there is a particular focus on physical activity and some interactive webinars to join in with there too. So just in terms of the resources, do have a look at Moving and Grooving, the resource that was we launched at the beginning of the year, but we're still getting lots of feedback about throughout the year, and people are still looking at, and the Wellbeing Walk guide, and the next one, which is the Winter Wellbeing Walk guide, which will be out in the next couple of weeks for the 4th of December. Lots of ideas about how to get moving, how to get grooving in a range of different ways, but also to suit a range of different older people's needs. So thinking about how you might adapt activities to meet individual needs, very, very importantly. What have we learned from our year of Moving and Grooving? Well, I think we've learned that taking part in physical activity is essential, and there are essential benefits for physical and mental health, not just in terms of improving balance, strength and agility, but also in terms of emotional well-being as well. And that it has to continue to be an integral part of what we do at NAPA and of activity provision more generally. We will be rolling out a national survey. So everybody that's been involved, our 3,000 members and beyond that have been involved in the Moving and Grooving campaign, will share their experience, and we will make sure that we share the findings from that data on our website in January 2022. So if you're interested in the outcomes from that, please do get in touch, keep in touch with us, and we can tell you a little bit more about that. Just another mention about the helpline. The NAPA helpline, as I've said, it's a telephone and email service, but we can also provide information about how you might get that get started statement right at the beginning of the presentation. How do you get started? How do you sustain and prioritise physical activity as part of an activities programme, but as part of individual activity and care planning? So do get in touch with us. We're more than happy to call you if there's a good time, or email contact, or come to one of our monthly reflective practice sessions and get the support that you need from your peers, but also from our group facilitators as well. And tell us what you've been up to. Share your best practice. We have at NAPA a quarterly magazine that goes out to all of our members, but we also have NAPA News that goes out to members and subscribers. So you don't have to be a member to share your news with the sector. We would love to hear how you've been prioritising physical activity, where you're up to, if you're at the beginning of your journey, if you've got lots and lots of experience to share, if you're challenged by this topic and want to share those challenges and hear back from others, perhaps who've had some success, please get in touch. We'd love to feature your blogs or your articles in either NAPA News or the NAPA magazine. And I think one of the things that we've been really bowled over by, particularly over the last 18 months, when care homes have been struggling so much with the COVID-19 pandemic, has been this constant priority about keeping people fit, keeping people as active as possible, despite all that they've had to cope with. And we've seen great evidence of that on social media. So tag us in social media posts, get in touch with us, and then we can share more widely as well what you've been up to.